The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us this evening, or thanks for listening if you're listening back, or even watching back. Decker?
Just a minute, Decker. Just a minute.
Hang on.
Hang on a second.
Wait there.
Well,
who gave you the captain's hat?
you know what it is? I just feel that we give away this catchphrase too easily on this podcast.
What do you mean you give? That's what the whole point of a catch. You
Yes,
say it,
but
don't you?
It is, but
This feels
I
correct.
just feel that we need to get something back for the catchphrase.
Like what? Or some likes?
Some likes. So if you are watching right now and you want to hear Decker's catchphrase, hit the like button.
And if you want
I'm not
to,
going to see it.
if you want to, we're winning our t-shirt. Get an NUFC matters. Just kidding, lads.
Fucking hell.
Straight in. Straight
I would
in.
love to get
Just
it.
kidding, lads.
We're 1 year now, 316. Like that would be unbelievable. That'd be unbelievable.
So say the words.
Oh,
and
sorry.
we'll
Are
have
the likes racking up first?
I don't know. We'll have a conversation about this soon.
We're 1 year now. Get in, man. We're the best.
Still not getting bored of saying that.
Never,
Decker, are
ever,
you?
ever, never, ever. Mind you, back in the old days, it was like once every 2 months.
Do you think
Now it's
the
every 7
FA
years.
would let you on the pitch at Wembley to say it?
Oh, God.
They haven't got a choice.
Stop it.
Started already.
Stop. Well, to be
Started.
fair, best of you weren't here, right? I was putting stuff in the fridge and we were like talking about the semi-final and stuff like that. And I was not winding them up, but I was saying like, well, we're through the final anyway, it doesn't matter. And he was like, oh yeah, man, can't be saying that.
Before we get started, if anybody does have any questions, send them in our way and we'll go through them throughout, but mainly at the end. As you can see, as you can hear, it's me, Chris, Decker's here, Mark's here, and Mr. Stephen Best is here.
Full house again.
We are all here, back to back, full house, yeah. So we'll just dive straight into the game.
Let's do it.
It was bloody freezing, wasn't it, Bestie?
Aye.
Freezing now.
It was really cold.
You have shorts on, though.
No, I don't wear shorts. I've just got skin-coloured bottom half. And it's just your tracksuit
Tights.
bottoms that are that tight that have actually osmosis happened. And the shorts and the pants and my leg are now one. That's what happened. I'm wearing shorts, really. So I've got the fucking clothes. Everything.
That's a Spice Girls song, isn't it? When pants become one.
Wow. But Bestie was
It
freezing.
was really cold. I was quite glad of it because the escalator at Haymarket Monument was broken.
I think all the metros were broken at one point.
So I had to walk up the. I'm glad it was Monument on Haymarket because that's an escalator. That like.
Haymarket.
Haymarket.
It's
It's
like
like
that.
that.
Real eye. But Monument, I was up there. I had a couple of pints in Fitzgerald's before the game, and like my legs were just gone. I was like Bruce Grobbelaar in that cup, and again Roma was it in the 85, 86? No, 185 was it? But I mean, legs were just totally gone. Like so, I was glad of the cold, like because otherwise I'd been a very sweaty. I'm a sweaty mess to start with, like, but I would have been an
But you
even
were
sweatier. I would have been
honking, eh?
a sweatier, messier man.
Is that possible?
No, not really. Like, no.
Mark, it was an unnamed.
Unnamed.
An
Yeah,
unnamed
just-
team. It was a
Just
secret.
they weren't let win.
It was
Who was
an
playing?
unchanged squad that faced a Fulham. Confident as ever going into that game?
Yeah, I think the only little bit of doubt was obviously Mr. Linton after his misbehaving during the week and whether or not
yes,
he
right.
would retain his spot. But he did, which led us to that unnamed/unchanged team. And I just basically left off where we picked up where we'd left off. Even
We're left off where we picked
we've
up.
lost the plot tonight, haven't we?
I'll step in now.
Just
Right,
making you
yeah.
left at the.
Let's
Yeah,
see
right.
if you can you're able to have a coherent conversation.
I'll try my best. So the Joelinton situation. So I thought I knew he'd play. Like I mean, that was no
I
doubt.
think, yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening to the match reaction today. Actually, not bad, Harry. You delivered it well. Not bad. So I think it was Darryl said, "Oh, like maybe he might have been thinking about it." You know what I mean? Had a few sleepless nights about it. Personally, I think it was just total PR from the press conference of like, "Oh, well, you know, I haven't."
He
made-"
definitely did drive drunk.
No, I know what I'm saying is Howard said in his press conference, I'll have to wait and see, you know, and I haven't really come to terms with it yet, and I have to see if he's going to be in the team. I think he knew then he was. I think he's just saying the right
I don't
lines.
think-
Because if he sat there and went, "Oh, he's in the team tomorrow, neighbour," they'd be like, "Well, you're not taking it very seriously." I
Yeah.
personally think that he always had the unless what I would say, the following day when more facts came out, if something really bad
If
had
he was
happened,
massively over the limit.
Yes.
Or if he hit somebody or something like that. Like
yes,
yeah.
that would be a different scenario. But I don't think there was any doubt.
No, I think with of what he said around how remorseful he'd been and that he was, like annoyed with himself, and he kind of, I think even seen like from like
was
the
emotional
first minute of
over
being
it.
on the pitch, like he wanted to prove a point. So I think he knew he'd let
Was he
himself
saying,
and everybody
was he
down.
saying thank you to the fans at the end?
Yes,
it felt that
I
way
think
to
he
me,
was
I didn't pick
almost
up on that, but
apologised.
It was like a
kind of thing,
moment of
wasn't he?
appreciation sort of thing. You
See,
walk
it
around the
was
floor
him
and he was doing that, like, and like going
Yeah,
up
100%.
to
I
everybody.
didn't
I
notice.
I
I didn't
felt
notice.
he was almost apologising for what he'd
Yeah.
done, and that's
That's what
And
the opinion I got.
thankful,
Yeah.
thankful for
The
the
support.
reception and support that he got during the game.
Yeah.
So I took it anyway.
I think I'm with Deck. I thought it was always with everyone really. He was always going to play. I think it's the kind of thing that he'll get dealt with by the police for it, and he'll kind of have to face the music there. Eddie Howe will have given him a dressing down. He said dressing gown there. Last thing he needs. Getting a dressing down, no doubt from Eddie Howe, like because it's a PO and goal to say the least, like. But
Remind him of his responsibilities.
exactly that, and it's a stupid thing to do. Drink driving's it's a next game, isn't it? So I don't think there was ever any doubt seriously internally that he'd play. Like I'd have been very surprised had he not.
I agree.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
I would have been shocked, if he hadn't started. And thank God he did start, because he had another absolute blinder.
What a player!
Excellent.
He just keeps every
best.
game. He gets better and better, and he's an absolute beast.
He's incredible. I mean, we talked last week about for me was the best player in the park at Hillsborough week before last. Weekend before last. And again, he's just. I think I sat here at the end of last season and said I'm still waiting. Or the start of this season, it was after Forest, saying I'm waiting for him to kind of get found out, for him to become very apparently a striker playing in midfield. But it's been a year. It's been 12, 13 months now, and he's still putting in every game, mind you. He's putting in brilliant performances. He doesn't seem to have an off game. He's incredible.
He's getting himself in better positions now than what he was when he was playing up front as well. He's actually getting into the box as well.
But he's fit. He's strong. I watched him. Sorry, I forget which if it was Leicester or if it was Sheffield Wednesday. It was Leicester. He's running like mad, and like injury time in the game, chasing the goalkeeper down. He's just like a giant pair of lungs, basically.
Unbelievable engine.
Like
for the size
incredible.
of him. I just in that game in particular. I mean, he started left wing obviously because it was unchanged side. I think some people think does Maxi come in for him? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, for then the injury to happen, which I know we're going to get into. I'm just focusing on Joe for a second, but we'll then have to move him into centre midfield again, and he just goes straight back in that role. No issues whatsoever.
I did feel he played a lot more through the centre at the weekend, and Little Joe was more out on the wing than they have previously.
It seemed as if they swapped a bit.
Yeah,
I
which I have been
done,
doing, but even more so, it seemed to me watching it that he was more central.
I do personally feel that he scored against Leicester, so people might say he was brilliant. He was. I still think he's unbelievable, in midfield. That left of the three, I think he's unbelievable because obviously we'll all say he's a beast. He can tackle anyone. He runs back and all the rest of it. But the way that he manages to hold up the ball, so they'll play it into his feet, and at the minute it's just like glue. Like it sticks to him. He holds anybody off and then starts to move off. Or there was one bit where on the second half, where someone like passed him the ball and he took it in one motion, like he controlled it, which then went forward, then took it again, then got fouled right on the edge of the box. I think Shea hit the post from that.
It was that one.
That was a lovely move. That the way he
similar
took it.
to the one where you won the penalty for. I can't remember what game it was. But he got in the box and he got absolutely wiped out in the box.
Oh yeah,
it was a similar sort of move.
It was really similar. It was very, very, very
unbelievable. And as I say, I've mentioned it before. For such a big lad, he's just got such an engine, hasn't he? Like, he just doesn't stop.
Unbelievable.
It's unreal. Unbelievable.
I think that the kind of the help he gives Dan Burn when he plays a bit deeper as well is another reason. I think I would say I probably prefer him in the middle, like playing a bit deeper. The middle, Bruno, him, Longstaff. Well, they play well for the four of us. We keep the same team. But I just like seeing him on the pitch.
He's a true box to box midfielder, isn't he?
Absolutely,
that's what he is.
But he's everything. He's what we thought Diarmi was. A lot of people seem to think Diarmi was, but
we'll have no Diarmi slander.
I don't think it's good, but he's not no slander, but he's a level above Diarmi, I would say.
He's several levels. I didn't think Diarmi was
Vieira.
Diarmi was all right, but he was Diarmi would only ever play in the direction he could see. like everything went forward. Nothing. You wouldn't see him go around the corner like that. Diarmi was like, "Well, there it is." I thought he was shy, really. But Joelinton's like,
I actually thought you had a really nice
I'm not having
purple
this.
patch. Actually,
I'm not having this.
it was alright for a championship player. It was alright. I didn't think it was. He was a limitation. I liked him.
After Jamal Lascelles chinned him, he became a cracking.
He
player.
became better, yeah.
I'll give you that one. But yeah, Joelinton's just like he's Diarmi plus. I don't even know who. I was going to say Lee Boyer, but Boyer didn't do that.
Do you know? I was thinking after the game, like, is there another player for another team that you feel does what he does in the league?
I think you could probably argue, and I'm not going to say he's as good as Toure was at Man City, but he was a similar in that he could do the dirty stuff in defensive midfield, but he was obviously a wonderful finisher as well. Like, I'm not saying Joelinton's that good.
I think
there's that brand of midfield. I don't know what you'd call it.
Yeah, like present now in the Premier League.
Oh, right.
I don't really. I'm trying to think in my head of if someone who was like that. Because I think Rodri's even more.
He's more defensive
minded.
Yeah, but
I don't think anyone is like him. And again, I'll go back. He's a fucking striker. Man, we're saying I don't understand how you can just move someone's position and then be that good
immediately as well.
I know it baffles everything.
But he played out wide a lot.
Darren Bent was actually trying to give credit to Steve Bruce for doing that.
Was it not Kieran Dyer?
Was it not Kieran Dyer? Oh, was Dyer, sorry.
Yeah, said that. Oh, he played him there a few times.
Bruce never managed Dyer.
No.
Bruce never managed Dyer. I'm trying to work out.
Oh, if the big
why is he sticking up for that?
He wouldn't have, would he?
No, I don't think Dyer retired at West Ham after he left us. I went to Borough for a little while, and Bruce hasn't managed there yet.
He was at the other club down in East Anglia.
Ipswich. Bruce has never. But
it was a big statement though to say Bruce played him there first. No, that was a massive statement.
I mean, Bruce did play him out wide quite a bit, but not with any great. I think I was more trying to fit 11 players on the pitch rather than.
He had one good game against Man United.
He played quite well. He played well quite often. I thought under Bruce. And to be fair, he never looked like he was going to be the kind of clinical like what Callum Wilson is or what Andy Cole or whatever. Like, but he was. There was times you'd see he come off the pitch and he's had a good game today, but he was wearing the number 9 shirt and he was signed as a centre forward. You think, well, he should be scoring goals or making, and he wasn't doing that.
I think sometimes as well. I think like there was. I'm holding my hands up and say it. Like there was times I used to watch him and think, God, he can't even pass a ball. Like he physically, he'd run and leave the ball behind him, and also whereas it has to be confidence as it has to be, doesn't it? A lot of it has to be confidence and belief. You know what I mean?
He's enjoying his football, and you can see it.
I think he's drilled better as well. I think that's one thing that Howe's done is the way that you see he sets up. Shea's a better player, Almiron's a better player because they know what their jobs are. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember, and I don't know if this become another Steve Bruce in character assassination, but when Jetro Williams came on his debut, he didn't know what position he was playing in. You know, and that's like. There's no danger of that now because players come on and they're like they know exactly what their job is.
You know
down to the most minuscule detail.
We put this down to fitness, Bestie, and this is what Howe brought in. But you're right in what you're saying. It's everything on top of that fitness as well. Yes, they've got the energy levels, but like you said, they know what they're doing now.
Exactly. Rafa was here. He is. He was like that as well.
13 minutes.
He's renowned for it, and like when it would be like he's renowned for stopping training sessions like. Almost a kind of painstaking degree. Say, right, you need to be like half a yard that way here, and run it again. So it was like muscle memory. It was like players know exactly what. And how it seems to be. I've not seen a whole training session, but the impression I get is that he's like that. That he's so meticulous. Mm-hmm. Every player goes on the pitch and knows exactly what's required of them and how to react in certain situations. And I mean, look how it's working.
You see that with a lot of the little triangles that they play. There's always somebody on for a pass, even if they've got to rush it and get a touch, to know that even almost without looking at, so like that muscle memory of if I just give it there will be somebody there.
There was a point in the first half where we were attacking the Leazers, and I think a long ball, Botman played a ball over, and it was that corner you mentioned earlier. I think it was Bruno, Miggy, and Trippier, and it was like, but all of a sudden Trippier's in like 20 yards of space, and the ball coming, and I think I forget what happened at the end of that now, but it was just lovely. Like,
there was a lovely ball. After that, where Bruno played it in the box for Longstaff.
Oh, what a tackle that was, man. It was a wonderful tackle.
Lovely move.
But that's the Bruno and Miggy.
Yeah.
When Miggy kind of creeps around and Bruno says,
I had one of them moments where like everyone was quite quiet at the time around us and he did that pass and I went, oh! Like pure orgasm style. Like, me down. It's just a pass. I was like, it was unbelievable.
But the play well at Fulham, that's how that Miggy, the Miggy volley that you got goal a month for in October.
Yeah.
That came from, it was over the top, but it was the same.
That triangles, it's every week. We seem to have nothing down the left. It's just like, well,
But
not
I think
nothing,
the
but
left is improving though. I
Yeah,
think you're seeing more.
yeah. That right though, them three on that right hand side are so busy. Like, even Longstaff gets involved sometimes over there as well.
Longstaff's excellent. Longstaff had a really good game on Saturday, and that was a big chance, but it's a great tackle.
Oh god,
It's a really good tackle. That, like,
Yeah.
I think that's in. I think Longstaff's done everything he can do.
I think I'm going to go right back here. You said to Mark, what did you feel going into the game?
Yeah.
I have to be honest here. I had forgot just how damn good Fulham were doing.
Yeah.
And for them, everyone says how well we're doing, and we are.
They're 7th in the league, weren't they?
To think if them had beat us, they went a point behind us.
Yeah.
So that tells you how good they were doing. And I watched them against Chelsea and thought they were magnificent against Chelsea.
If they'd have beaten us at Craven Cottage in October, they would have been ahead of us going into the game on Saturday.
There you go. So that just tells you, right?
Everyone's talking about Newcastle doing this, that, and we are getting a lot of praise in the media and stuff. And correct. Yeah. And Brighton are as well because of how well run they are and how they've bounced back on Potter and everyone leaving basically.
Right.
And Fulham are playing really well. They played well on Saturday. I thought
they were great.
And there was always a joke on it that them and Norwich would kind of dovetail in one goal. Not this year, like Fulham that
doing really well.
Top half
really well.
Well, I honestly thought that I swear the first half they were one of the better teams I've seen come here.
Yeah,
I really thought they were good. I'm not saying that the Pope had much to do here, but we were struggling. Like
that's the thing.
We were
Fulham have always played nice football, haven't they? But just as they are this season, they struggle to put the ball in the back of the net. That's why I thought, yes, they're doing well in the league. They've got a good bit of form, but when you look at like the amount of goals that they score, they don't concede a lot, which is good. Which is why I thought it would be a pretty tight game as it did turn out. But their record in front of goal, and I know they've missed Mitro for a fair bit of it as well. But that was the one thing that I thought would go in our favour is them not getting goals, especially against our defence as well.
We are tremendous at the back, which I can't believe us.
One shot on the target they had.
Yeah. Oh, no question of that.
Include the penalty.
Yeah.
I think it was from open play. One shot from open play.
I honestly thought the first half we were really struggling in the sense of they were beating our press all the time. So when my press is passed on, no ball whatsoever. And I felt that
they were stopping a lot of movement.
Oh, their press was really good.
It was brilliant because when Shea and Botman were getting the ball, they really didn't have many ideas of what to do with it.
They always seem to have an extra body in midfield.
There was a point where I forget how long in the game now where Dan Burn had the ball and halfway and wasn't a ball on for him.
Nothing.
So he had to go. He went to Botman, he went to Shea, went to Trippier, and he came back across and there was just nothing. They were excellent. Fulham played really well.
I thought so.
Then I was reading the thing before the game on Saturday about how that goal. I mean, that goal difference isn't great. It's more kind of good to do there. I think at +3, maybe now +4-3. That. They don't score. They don't concede many, and that's just a hard team to break down.
Yeah.
I mean, the chances we had, I'm saying that Wilson should score one at least for me. We hit the post with a free kick. That
was a good free kick there from Shea, wasn't it?
It was a really good free kick.
It was.
Well, I forget my point. What was that before?
Well, I think you're trying to say they were hard to break down, but we still created a lot of chances in moments. Which I agree with.
It's strange though because watching it didn't. When you look at the stats, like we absolutely on paper battered them.
Match of the day, we had like 20 shots there, 5 or something.
It didn't really feel like that at the game for me. It felt a lot closer. And I even said to you at the end, they'll probably feel hard done by. And then I saw the stats and I was like, bloody hell, that doesn't replicate what I've watched.
Match of the day was like I think we had 20 shots there, 5.
We had plenty of opportunities, loads.
Like I said, Wilson, Leno pulled off 2 really good saves from Wilson, had a free kick at the post, scored at the end. Had what chances? Yeah. Same as we did against
Maxi just missed. I mean,
had one second half.
Great effort that as well. Like wide, had what chances? We just couldn't quite.
And I think when you say hard to break down, I have to say I wouldn't say Fulham just came and parked the bus by any stretch of the imagination. Like I think they did try to take one, and I honestly I really mean this in terms of tactically, in terms of how they try to move the ball around. It was one of the best I've seen in our place. For all they didn't have many attempts or anything, I'd give it that.
I thought Mitrovic against Shea was a good battle because they're both quite similar. Like they're both shithouses. They're both gamesmen.
Well, I thought Mitrovic did well in this regard. Like he cannot move. He cannot move.
Ironically, I was going to say his movement was excellent.
Well, no, he
pulled off the man really well.
Yes, that's what I mean. But he doesn't necessarily run anywhere. If that makes sense. He looks huge.
The number 9. It was like they put the shorts number on his back by mistake because it just dwarfed this number 9 in the middle of his shirt. Like
some of his just them glancing headers or from a goal kicks or long balls. He's very, very good at that. But I thought it was interesting. I'm sorry, I'm going ahead a bit. When Joelinton went into midfield, certainly the last 10 or 15, Joe just went, okay, I'm just going to mark you now. When every time there's a goal kick or something, you're my man, and he never won anything again. Joelinton must have won everything after that. It
Imagine
was
a team of
mint. It
Joelintons.
was mint, aye.
I thought
Not strikers, like, but-
his movement created a lot of space for Willian, who I
Yeah.
thought was excellent for them.
The
good
Cordova
player.
Reed was good as well.
Yeah,
on the left.
Like when again that last at the end of the game when he got, which I was surprised that he got substituted off, which I think they were just at that point just trying to go for it, and because they made 5 subs, didn't they, and just try and get
Well,
as many,
10 by the announcer.
and many strikers, as many strikers
We'll
as
get
they
on to
could
the
on.
announcer at the
Could
end.
on
Don't
the
you
pitch.
worry.
Joseph Willock.
Don't you worry
So,
about
but,
that.
yeah.
Josh, well, I've seen your donation. Thank you very much.
Top man,
But
Joe.
we'll go through it at the end when we'll go through the questions.
Sorry, back to the boss. Go on, get some more line here. We're just going.
I think we've covered everything. To be fair,
We're just
Yeah,
going.
but
I think we've covered everything. A few talking points because we've been going for 20 minutes already. A couple of talking points. The main one is Bruno's injury.
It looked nasty, didn't it?
It-
That's, especially when you see the replay.
It was
One of those-
strange because he twists his ankle, then you can see he's struggling at that point for a couple of minutes. Then he gets treatment, he gets whatever happens. Then he starts running all right on it. Then 5 minutes afterwards, he's back to limping again. That's when he
It was
indicates for the substitution.
immediately after it happened and he got like the treatment, he came back on. I thought, straight off, yeah. And then it did seem to I kind of stopped noticing.
Yeah.
He just went through spells where he would seem to move all right, and then when he stopped running, when he was just like kind of jogging or walking, you could see he was.
I think
like, had a bit of a limp.
What we'll have to highlight though is once again how clever we have been with the shithousery.
Oh, is this the? I know
So
It was unbelievable.
yeah, so Bruno starts limping, then obviously the bench knows straight away is the issue. Then
We had a corner.
Yeah.
was it a corner?
It was a corner,
So
yeah.
we had a
Yeah.
corner. So Nick Pope runs across to the dugout. Then he sprints back to his box, then sits down.
No.
That's obviously to get treatment to Bruno and sneakily trying to keep him on the field as we do it.
Yeah.
Which
to
they
stop
did.
the
He
game,
did. He stayed on the pitch
Yeah.
to get his treatment.
He
Yeah,
did.
well, obviously, because if Bruno goes down, he has to come off the field. Then we'll have to continue with
and
10.
it takes a few more.
Whereas you
Yeah.
can't stop the game where you keep being down. So it was amazing. And that's when you come sprinting over, I said, "No, what's he?" And then he literally said 2 words to him, almost 2 words. He
Tyndall
got me
then.
down. He didn't say very much. And then next thing, he's on the bottom. Like, but
He always said the 2 words "go down."
I go down. I thought the groan that
St. James's Park made as a
when,
whole.
when Bruno
Yeah.
got the ball, like because obviously he had been injured, he come and then they passed him the ball, and he looked terrible. I mean, he looked terrible, and everyone went, "Oh,
It was
and
a-
he
oh.
looked the whole
Yeah.
ground." Because he just really looked bad.
He looked
didn't
like that,
he looked bad, and listen, right, I'm not criticizing anyone,
But
kind of,
But
I have to be
Too
honest.
proud.
I have to be fair here, right? If previous management had allowed him to carry on, I don't think I would have been too happy. Like,
So we
I have
have
to
seen
be
this
fair here.
before. Can you not remember? Lascelles carried on in a game and refused to come off.
Rafa was
Yeah.
trying to get him off.
I think it's a similar issue to Bruno, and Eddie Howe said it in his press conference afterwards, saying you have to trust the player in these sort of
Yeah,
instances.
yeah,
maybe,
you
yeah.
know, Bruno's the kind of player that wouldn't want to come off unless he knows.
I just felt
well, his reaction to going off as well tells you that,
Yeah,
doesn't he?
but
When it went off
the
at
thing is,
tears.
when you turn your ankle like that, any of us athletes will tell you. Like, it can be a twist that you can run off, or it can be ligaments. So you don't know. So you've got to test it. And I think there was still a while to go before half time where you could see like, he's. But then he give it that to how I noticed on about 43 minutes, something like that. And I thought, well, do you take him off, leave him off, don't bring a sub on yet, see how half time goes, and then bring him back on, or then make a decision then, or do you leave him on?
I think to just elaborate on what I've said, because it sounds like I'm slacking people off. I'm not. What I mean is, though, is 100% you put him back on. He says he's okay. It's great.
Yeah.
But I'm not being funny. I said to me dad at least 5 times. He's not right. Like he was just limping
You could see.
constantly, but wouldn't pass him the ball. He was having no control in midfield. And in fairness, I thought at times we had 10 men really because
He was just a body. Wasn't
And I'm thinking we need to make a decision here because the longer he's playing on it, he could get hurt, and
Get
someone
worse.
might just go in on him again. You
That
know what I
was
mean?
my
Like,
worry.
Aye, that's what I was honestly. Because that Reed in midfield, by the way, I actually thought he played well. He's a little bit of a rat, like.
Winston Reed is
Is it the little lad in midfield? And I thought if he could go in on Bruno here, and that could, you've gone injured like from 3 weeks to 3 months.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's all I was thinking.
So I think before we went live tonight, there has been reports from a handful of journalists that have said that we're looking at a week.
A week to weeks.
A week.
was
A
the
week
quote,
ankle.
I think.
A week ankle, yes, a week ankle, but they're looking at approximately a week, then possibly weeks. That's best case scenario.
Unbelievable. He was popping pills, on the side there. Eddie Howe was Tyndall was giving him like paracetamol
for the disco biscuits
like,
now.
pointing them down. I was like, well, he's doing everything to try and stop the pain. Like, but that's amazing, isn't it? A
Oh,
week
of
or
course
two
it
is
is.
great,
It is. I mean, we've got a lot of games coming up as well. We've got Southampton 2 legs coming up next week, the week after.
Yeah,
isn't it?
remember that, lads.
Got the
Still
Wembley
got
game
two,
as well.
2 games to get through.
It'll be all about
Obviously
that
we've got-
first, man. No more.
Wembley's week before my birthday as well. Like, so that'll be a lovely time. That. I
Get
can't
it.
wait for that.
Birthday weekend at
Oh,
Wembley for
grand,
Bestie. But yeah, I thought when he goes off in tears, I thought worst case. Like I thought he's really done this. Like
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I just think he's such an emotional guy. I really do. And I personally thought it can't be that bad because you managed to play for half an hour. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that bad.
the issue which we have right now is Newcastle United weeks, maybe months.
Yeah, that's what I was just.
Well,
gonna say,
Isak
yeah.
was a couple of weeks on it, and that was
2 weeks. He was almost
August,
2 weeks away.
and he's still not quite back yet. Really,
We've had Wilson out for a week or two. We've
Saint-Maximin.
had Saint out for a week or two.
Bruno earlier in the season,
Yeah.
So is it
a
going to
huge
be a
Isak.
week? Is it going to be a year?
massive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't know.
And this is the point that I've been worried about, that we've been mentioning when we've been talking about, you know, potential of transfers and how this season might go, is that if we pick up a key injury, and he was one of the ones for me, that it could damage our aspirations of potentially reaching Wembley in the cup final, potentially finishing the top 6 of the league.
I thought you were going to go top 4 there, Mark.
Are you still down top 6?
I've came around to the thinking.
I'll take 6. Like now,
Aye.
if you offer 6 now,
I'll take 6.
Well,
take 6 in a cup final.
I heard
every
the
day of
anthem at
week.
the weekend and I quite liked it, so I'll take top 6. Sorry.
The next talking point is we'll just get straight onto it to the penalty bestie.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this. Like,
So the
he's
penalty,
fucking shit.
the penalty incident. So in the ground, you would have a similar view of it from what I do.
Yeah.
Okay. You're more on the side, so you might have seen a bit better. Did you initially thought that was given for the Dan Burn?
Totally.
Yeah.
I thought. I remember we broke with Miggy down the left, and I was talking to Smithy. How's Smithy? Happy birthday, mate. And he says, I said to him, "We'll score here, and it'll get pulled back for the penalty.
Yeah.
You watch." And I think Miggy he flashed it in the near post, didn't quite go in, and we had the corner, didn't we? Because Leno made the saving.
Yeah. I said to you straight away,
I
said this is a penalty.
But I saw Mitrovic go to talk to the referee, then walk away, giving it that. Like, and I thought, oh, well, it's not been given then. They've looked at it, obviously, in that time.
There was a couple of them were like going like that.
And I thought, oh, he's upset with the referee, yeah. And then the referee was telling Trippier how to make it. I thought, oh, well, if they're looking at it, yeah, they're giving it because it's a penalty for me. And I thought, the same as you, Chris, I thought, well, it's the Dan Burn one. I thought, I remember the Trippier one being a thing as well, but I thought, well, the Dan Burn one clearly was a foul.
At the time, though, the Trippier one didn't look like anything. It almost just looked like he ran into him.
I thought it was I thought they both were at the time. Looking back, the Trippier one I don't think was the first one I'm on the fence about. I don't think either are worthy of being brought back for and overturning because they're not clear and obvious for me.
Or a red card, like the Fulham manager wanted Dan Burn sent off.
No, it's.
But if he gives the penalty for the foul by Burn,
Yeah,
he has to send him off.
Well, look,
he's
because
through on goal.
I think that's
Does
more
he?
of a penalty. Yeah,
He has to. He's last man.
because he's not being
Clear foul.
If
If
you're
he
making an
doesn't try to play the ball,
if you're not trying to play the ball,
Right,
then it's
okay.
a penalty. If you're trying to play the ball and it's an accidental, you fouled him. It's a penalty, and I think you might get booked. But if it's no
That's
attempt to play the
the
ball,
double
you're pulling
jeopardy.
him back.
Red
Yeah,
card.
it's a red card.
Well, I was sitting like in the Millburn stand,
Mhm.
and obviously I look all that. Can I just say that whole minute or so was just chaos.
Yeah.
Well, run ragged, were all over the place. I don't know what was going on. It was just terrible.
Lost the ball like 20
I
yards
would
from goal,
did.
so
It was just horrendous. That full minute or 30 seconds was just chaos. But anyway, from where I was sitting, Burns, I said straight away, that's a pen shit. Because he pulled him, for me.
100%.
Now, I have to say, I haven't seen it back, so I could be totally wrong. But to me, in my eyes, it's a penalty.
It was
No doubt.
shocked that the referee just didn't give it instantly.
I was
Then
stunned.
video
I
was
was,
there.
yeah, totally.
Stunned. I honestly stunned. And then I thought, Jesus, we're getting away with that. And then to me, I thought Trippier was clumsy. Just from my angle here, from where I'm sitting, I couldn't see the lad stand on Trippier. You know what I mean? But to me, it was clumsy. And I thought, Jesus, and I agree with you. When it broke, I kept saying to me, Dad, it's going to come back, that.
Yeah.
It's going to come back.
100%.
And there was, I know you've just referenced there, there was a Fulham player I did run over to the ref, and the ref said so, and the Fulham player almost went, okay, and walked away. And I thought, that's because he's probably saying, "Hey, Murray,
Yeah, I mean,
the next time it's out to play, we'll have a look." But what did shock us, of course, was obviously, he went to his man and all the rest of shite.
you know
see
it's
it.
getting given that.
100%. I
Point,
said, if he gets called over to pen. But then when Trippier ran over to him, and you could see Trippier saying, "Who was it for?" And then he went, "Me." like,
Yeah.
his reaction was, "You've got
Yeah.
to be joking."
Well, listen to.
And the big screen did show you that there was obviously Trippier as there were.
I had a rival podcast on the drive in. I'm not going to say who it was.
Good.
Because it's Harry. But I used to do a thing with one lads.
It's Harry, but not us.
But there's an interview with Trippier on that, and he's talking to one of the George Colton. And Trippier says,
Philip Albert,
well, who? Never heard of him.
Is he a journalist or an athlete?
Philippe Albert, or both. Anyway, stop it. Trippier saying, I can't remember putting a tackle in. Like, I've got this big cut on top of my foot, and he shows George. Oh, look at that. He says, I've got these well done at it. But I thought, when I saw him, the fella in the middle fall over with Dan Burr, I thought, well, no, I've got a penalty here. Played on, and then he says, I can't remember the tackle. And then he said, exactly that. Me, what have I done? But the referee, did you see Match of the Day last night?
Yes, I did.
The referee didn't look at that last angle. He turned away. Yeah. So he's watched the one, and it does look like a penalty from two of the angles. But there's one where you say, well, he clearly stands on Trippier's foot.
Yeah. But he's got his back to it. He's already running away.
He doesn't just stand on it.
Given the penalty.
He steps into it. So, like, you know how Harry Kane is when he kind of puts his leg out and makes sure there's contact. He kind of does that, but on top of Trippier's foot. So it's not a penalty for me. And the Burn one, I know you're saying you've not seen it back there.
Yeah, I haven't. No,
it's a foul, but their player makes the most of it. He goes down theatrically for me.
Burns kind of running and doing that, and he catches him there, and the fella throws his arm back and does that. So I think if it's given,
so was it more so the player's motion rather than Burns' motion pulling him? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. It is.
For me, Burns got a hold of his arm.
I think.
Him a tug.
I don't think it doesn't give a tug at all. You dirty get. Maybe in the chest.
This is a PG-friendly show.
Is it? Fuck. I think if it gets given, it doesn't then get rescinded.
Right, got you. Yeah.
But because it wasn't given, I think it's right. Same as the Trippier one. I think if the it was overturned, so I'm talking shit.
But I think what's annoying about, because I've heard this as well about the referee gets called over to the monitor to have a look and doesn't even have the fucking audacity to wait just a bit and watch every angle. Surely, if you're the leader of this game and you're in charge, I want to see every single angle. I want to make sure I'm making the right decision.
Yeah.
And
that's where
Mike
about
to show you the third angle, he runs off.
That's what Mike Dean on VR should be saying to him. And we've got another angle from this side.
It's
the thing is, though, the fact that they've called him back to look at it means that they think it's a penalty.
Yeah.
That they think he's made the wrong decision to start with. So
it's just mad, man. It's mad. At the top level here, you're just seeing mistakes left. I'm not even going to. I will mention it, but I don't talk about the Rashford situation. Like, how can you get? How the fuck is this happening in the game, man? Do you know what I mean? And then you've got hours there where televised game, big moment in the game, and he won't even wait to see all of the angles that's available to him.
I don't see the point in that monitor. I really don't. Like, if the referee just let
you have seen on the odd occasion
once
a referee going, oh, no, I'm going to stick with me.
Once it's happened.
It is rare, isn't it? Like, because everyone's attitude is, if he goes to this monitor, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I don't see the point in it.
Was it for us as well, that one?
No.
Was it?
No, it was Michael Oliver.
Can I just ask the Trippier one when he got sent off, but then it got overturned? That was our favour because he got sent off
at home, wasn't it?
Yes, and then they went to the monitor and they overturned that, so that was our favour.
Yeah. But the penalty itself, I'll stay with you, Bestie, because I know you really want to talk about this. The penalty itself.
Yep.
Talk me through that, mate.
Well, he's very unfortunate, isn't he?
Massively.
He's really. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. Where
once apparently.
Yeah, where player's done that, kicked it off himself. There's that one when it was Arsenal played someone in Perez and Henry.
Yeah. Was
that the same one?
No. There's a. I did read it, but I've completely forgot who it was. But there's been one other occasion where a player's got to take the penalty. He slipped and kicked the ball off his own foot and into the net.
It's a funny one because Pope looks to be going the right way as well.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I mean, you can't say for certain because the movement, it's negligible from one foot.
And he knows straight away. So he's looking at that and saying, hello, this ball's taking a massive change of direction here.
Brilliantly, because it's immediately.
Yeah.
Where stood there going, oh, but what's happened here? And you can see it looks like he scuffed it, if nothing else. Aye. Well, Pope and straight away Pope, and I forget who else it was, but black and white shirt, straight referee. And the referee's gone like, I can't give that. Yeah. But it's really unlucky. Bless him. I don't like him. He's a far better player now than he ever was for us. But it's hilarious.
Not even for that goal at Sunderland, you still can't give him anything.
No,
that was a huge.
Michael Owen scored 2 against Sunderland. Anyone likes him?
But he is a prick though.
So Mitrovic.
How?
Because he just clearly is.
He
clearly is.
Wilson's a prick and all.
He is. But he's good. He's good. And if anything, Wilson possibly got the assist for the
He did.
because he was scuffing up the
That's why
spot,
he came
wasn't
in
he?
my head because
Yeah.
Yeah.
he was arguing with their centre half before the goal. Sorry, apologise for
It took a lifetime, didn't it?
Oh, forever.
Mm.
And he was arguing and arguing. Wilson was, and
Nick Pope got
Nick Pope got booked.
Yeah, he
well,
did.
that was insane. That was insane because there was about 100 people on the field, you know, wasting time, arguing, shouting. Pope literally took about a second, booked.
Yeah.
And I think, what the fuck's this ref doing here? Like, it was unbelievable. He could have booked 100 people. Well, not that many, but, you know, kind of few. 22 of them.
Themselves as well, probably.
I probably themselves, 23.
and that extra player that Fulham tried to get on the field as well.
That was insane, that whole moment. It was, but then I'm sure I've heard, I didn't see this, but I've heard Wilson was like kicking the spot and shit.
Apparently
Yeah.
so. I didn't see it either, but I just heard again on
So,
another show.
Yeah.
About an hour ago that happened. But yeah, I mean,
That, mind you, that I feel in that moment, the crowd needed that moment because it was flat as fuck.
yeah, exactly what I said.
Yeah, the atmosphere wasn't the
I
best,
said
was it?
that. I said that's exactly what the crowd needed because it had gone really flat.
Everything felt a bit flat though, didn't it? Like the performance in the first half, the fans, everything just felt
I
a
blame
bit
the
off.
stadium announcement. It's his fault.
Yeah.
Well, can I also, I need to, say that Eddie Howe surfer flag was
That was great.
Lovely, wasn't it?
unbelievable.
It was really
I
good. That.
honestly loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I was a little bit annoyed that
Amazing.
the caption at the bottom was a bit off centre.
Yeah, that wasn't good for the old OCD, was it?
No, do better.
I was a dick. I was taking photos before that even getting unread.
Oh,
I seen it.
got a
I
great-
looked at it,
I've got
I was
a
like,
photo.
fuck,
I did
It's
exactly
really,
the same.
really good. I've got to stop it as well.
just love it.
We had
Honestly,
flags in our way as well, didn't we?
really deserved it.
There was a big flag in our way to be able to get a good picture.
And I thought, you know, that happened. The atmosphere was really, really good, but the game was quite slow, wasn't it? You know what I mean? We weren't really. So, I just felt sorry to go back. My first point was when that happened, that was the fire that the crowd needed. I felt,
Yeah, I agree.
and then I really think actually from that moment we really started to get at them.
It was just, it's obviously Fulham frustrated, but which always impacts on the crowd. The fact that it was a Sunday early kickoff, nobody's been able to get out and really have a good drink before going to the match.
I'm not a fan
It's
of
just-
that kick off on a
Yeah,
Sunday.
it's
I'll
just.
say I am. I don't mind that. 'Cause
I prefer the next one.
I got back home at a nice time. And I had a couple of pints in the tap afterwards. Got back home at a nice time and all that. Like, got the kids to bed. And it was nice. It's family friendly time.
I still say, you know, if we score early doors there, the place is on fire. It's amazing.
Yeah.
If Longstaff's shot from that tackle goes in, it's
Because that was the first 10
different
minutes, wasn't
game.
it? as
Yeah,
well?
it was early
really
on,
on that.
It was.
So
So
what
I-
if
you know,
Bestie's auntie had tits?
to go back, you mentioned about Wilson there, chance for Wilson or something. There was a one. Was it first half? Yeah, it must have been. Yeah,
The touch and turn.
my goodness me, that turn.
The turn's wonderful.
Fucking hell!
He does it twice.
Unbelievable turn.
The
That.
first was one where he hits it and like Leno saves it quite high up in the top left almost. But that one, the turn, I forget
Was
if
it the
it was
Lee's end on it?
at the Leeds in the first half, and you think what I would have done.
Be the athlete that you are.
You probably telegraphs it to Leno's left.
He
and
does.
it's
He
it's
does.
not just belted his near post.
It's just instinct, isn't it?
Because
He just turns it
Leno's thinking you can see he's already halfway down. Just hit it near post, one out. Stevie Best.
That's why you're an England striker, Stephen.
It's
He's
exactly
not.
right. Like, it is. That's
But
why,
that
that's why
turn
I got
was,
forced to play in goal for 25 years.
was sexual. Like that turn was
There was,
sexual.
there
It
was
was
one where
fantastic.
before the first one, pardon me, where Shea did a turn on the halfway line.
Oh yes,
And everyone's
sorry.
going, shoot. And he just plays the ball through Wilson. And that's
Yeah.
one where Leno saves it up.
I actually thought Shea was tremendous the first half.
He
Like,
was excellent.
from a creative standpoint, to be fair, I thought he was carrying the ball out and looking for a pass, but the amount of times he was, would break up play and then find a really good ball. I think I must have said his name, like just around. I was like, gosh, yeah, again, amazing there. Like he had a great game, but the first half especially, I felt he was outstanding.
Shall we get on our goal?
Yeah, well, I want to see what he thinks of Maxi like.
We'll get on it. We'll go. We'll
Because that's right.
we'll use that as one of our questions.
Okay, then that's
as one of our questions. So,
Shite.
Decker, did you think it was going to be one of those games where we get those chances fall upon where we just cannot find the back of the net and it ends 0-0?
Do you know at the moment when I did think that, this might sound silly because I'm not exactly sure on the second half when it happened, but my God Almighty, when Longstaff kicked it over the Gallowgate,
Aye.
that was the moment where I thought, you know what it is?
He hit it with his heel.
It was horrendous.
I don't understand how you can strike a ball with your heel.
Right,
I
it's his
didn't
left
see
foot.
that. I saw the shot, but I didn't see
Well,
that.
I think it was Maxi. I actually thought Maxi should have been more greedy and went himself, but he didn't. He passed it, and it broke the Longstaff woomph, just back
It
row.
was a shot, that
And
one.
I thought, do you know what it
See
is?
how he's putting that little bit
I
of
think, yeah,
Just dropping
no.
that there.
Well, I think he should have shot. I think it was the wrong decision actually. But anyway, then to be fair, you had Maxi's chance that did go just wide.
Yeah.
And the one thing, and I say this a lot in games, I'm wrong in my opinion here, but I often always say, right, we'll be crossing the ball for 90 minutes, right? I've seen this in the older, but lofting balls in, keeper just comes out and gets them.
Yeah.
Fucking change the record, lads.
Yeah.
And I felt this was Trippier's one of Trippier's poorer games. Still a 6 out of 7. He was still 6 or 7 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Delivery was shocking.
It was
We said that
terrible.
during the game.
A couple of times.
was
Not just from him.
Leeds
It
game.
was
No, I agree.
terrible.
But
like,
the amount of
final
times we've
balls.
got in a great area, and I thought personally it was Trippier most of the time, just shite every single time. And I was thinking, lads, we need to stop crossing this ball, like, and where did the goal come from? So sometimes,
It's a lovely ball.
But what a ball it was,
I know,
though.
but sometimes maybe you've just got to stay with what you're doing. Does that make sense? And eventually it might work. And then credit to them for doing that.
Well, that's what Howe's thing, isn't it? Where he says we're doing the right things and all that.
Just
We
keep
kept
going.
on doing
Yeah.
it. I
And
think trust the process is the
that ball from Longstaff was beautiful.
perfect.
Absolutely beautiful. And
I
I
thought-
thought personally when he brought Isak on and kept Wilson on, I thought it was a really brave move.
Yeah.
It was a brave move, that, because I thought it was going to be 1-for-1. And ironically, I'm not saying it, envision it this way, but it was like 2 strikers in the box, one to the other. Do you know what I mean? It was like
Isak
he
had
that-
a great role where he was just sat behind, just
Yeah.
going wherever he wants to go.
Well, I've seen loads of comments like since the game and today of people saying, "Oh, I can't believe it went 4-4-2. It was brilliant."
Yeah.
We didn't
Wasn't
play
4-4-2
4-4-2 at all.
Mhm.
I personally, it sounds daft to say, given that the link up for the goal, I didn't think it worked that well for the most part.
Well-
Isak was getting too deep, and he was on Maxi's toes quite a bit.
Yeah, in fairness, obviously I was sitting right behind now, and in that, Howe was constantly giving him instructions to Isak. I mean, all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it was because maybe he's just not really used to playing there, but
Yeah.
he's put him on to just try and make something happen.
He just went
Um,
into like almost a 10 roll,
he
didn't
did,
he? Into
10
like that.
Do you know what it is? Though? He just skips over challenges.
Yeah, he does.
He just
yeah.
jumps them. Every single one
Mm-hmm.
that comes in, he jumps.
Yeah, he's very.
So his legs.
He's very
really, really agile. Like
He is. He's
Yeah.
very quick as well, isn't he? Fast. He's quick. But I love. Like I thought, what game was it? The Sheffield Wednesday one. He was always getting in the right areas. Obviously,
Yeah.
we'll talk about the header you missed and stuff, but he's in there. And that one there, it's just sometimes as a striker, I'm not saying it's instant necessarily, but you just have that sense, don't you, of where to be? Do you know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
I love the guy I love him. But Joelinton, in the time being a striker, I wouldn't have been there.
didn't have that.
Does that make
instinct.
sense? He wouldn't have
Yeah,
been in that area. He just wouldn't have. It's just
You
it
can see
isn't there. Do you
in
know
the
what I mean?
build up to the goal, I watched it this afternoon there, but just before not long before I left, and you can see him and Wilson both start. You can see him kind of almost take a position where Wilson peels off towards the back. Pardon me, and the ball goes to the right, and I think Trippier plays it back to was it Murphy?
It's long
plays it
stuff.
back to
Yeah,
Longstaff.
it's long stuff.
And like as the ball goes out, that's when Isak makes his move to the middle.
Yep.
Because he starts off on the left hand side, almost like left hand side of the 6-yard box, maybe, but obviously further. Makes his move, and that's when it's almost like it's kind of. I don't think the intention was that it looks like Wilson. It looks like Wilson kind of heads it towards goal. Obviously, what happens.
At the time,
But I don't think it was meant that Wilson was going to play it back across with the header. I think Wilson's gone for a goal,
Possibly.
and Isak's just taken up that position, and it's kind of worked.
It
But
was very quick thinking from Wilson.
Really
Because
quick.
obviously it's kind of
I
hit that
thought
defender,
Chucks his
and
toe
then
on it,
he's,
doesn't
and
it?
he's just.
I thought he fluffed it to start with. I thought, crazy, what's happened here? And then
well, I
looking
thought
at it again,
the defender had
really-
handled it from the header initially, like seeing it live, but then on the replay, it's not. It just comes off. Him.
Yeah,
It was one of the moments as well. He's never going to miss from there. But when the ball's coming over to Isak, it's like
You've
time
seen
stood
it happen.
still. Like
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
anyway, I felt an age before it actually got to him.
Even if he doesn't connect to that, which he was always going to, because there was no challenge coming in on him. Murphy's just behind him.
Oh, is he? To be
Yeah,
fair,
Murphy's
yeah,
just
yeah,
that's
but-
no guarantee.
That's hit the
That's-
post.
yeah.
That's
Bless him.
definitely hitting the post.
Did you see Murphy at the end? I put this in the WhatsApp group earlier. I
that
think.
one.
When he was trying to pick, wasting time,
Oh.
pretending to pick the ball up,
Aye.
kick
Kicking
it away. Like,
Twice.
that's what he used to.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
There's like
That's
kid stuff on it.
belt of that. Like
He went down with Crampton now.
just after having come on.
Aye, they were all arguing. He just went down. I was like, "Fuck me, you were really turning it on here." Like,
Mind Fulham did it. There was a few of their
Aye.
players. One went down with a head injury, got the game stopped, and he was up fine. No bother. It's not just
It's
Newcastle that do
gamesmanship,
something. It is.
gamesmanship.
Leno went down with, I think, Longstaff. Someone did slide in, but hardly touched him.
I didn't. It was Isak. I think didn't touch him at all.
Aye,
Yeah.
he went jumped over him.
Keeper was taking a lifetime as well.
He was.
He was,
really
yeah.
was. I was
It's what
stunned,
happens.
Stunned. There was only 5 minutes added on.
I don't think
I thought it
thought
should have been
more-
about 20.
I thought
they said 5. I think it was 2 played.
Yeah. It was
when,
mad. That
when it said 5, I'd have been gutted. I'd have been furious if it had been like us, if it had been 0-0 still.
100% agree.
But then at 1-0, I'm thinking, oh, at 1-2.
Aye.
Isn't it? You never get that in the second half.
No,
But
I was honestly, I was expecting World Cup injury time. I was
Yeah.
thinking this is going to be. We'll be here at 5 o'clock. Yeah, 'cause
straight to the
it's-
studio. On.
So the substitutions were made. Best was you, Decker. You said that it was quite brave for them to bring to have Wilson and Isak on as well. Obviously, you want to talk about Saint-Maximin, and I'll start it off because I thought he was great when he came on. I thought he'd give a different outlook and a different dimension to that. He was beating players left, right, and centre.
Great.
He was 100%.
Strong word.
No, he was great. Absolutely great.
I thought he was good. I thought I didn't think we used him as much as we possibly could have. I will say that. I didn't think we got it out wide as often as I was expecting. And
my issue with that is when Saint likes to hug that touchline, but it was just getting a bit congested on that part of the field where players just weren't overlapping and they were just hovering around that position.
Yeah, obviously when we have Burn on that side, there's no offense. I mean, again, people say, well, what happened at Leicester? He certainly overlapped at Leicester. Of course he did. But let's be fair, his game isn't really that. So sometimes it is Saint against 2, maybe 3. And I still say we've got such a lovely chemistry on the right. A lot of our ball does go down the right. But I still felt when Maxi did get the ball, I thought he released the ball really well. Do
you think he prefers getting the ball and doing it from a standing start? Because I don't feel as if he runs onto the ball.
No,
he likes to stop
and
then make his decision.
Do you know, he's very much like Jack Grealish in that regard. Do you know where like he'd rather the ball into feet and then him take it, whereas you never really see him running onto the ball over the top, for example, or running in behind. It's normally like you'll come short and go, right, give us it, and then I'll drive at them.
That's where we're sometimes a little bit one-dimensional with him. Not through his fault, but for that very reason is that he'll come short to get the ball, or he'll just stand around the halfway line, and there's an acre of space up the pitch that if he just made a run, that we might be able to then do something different.
Whereas on the opposite side, Miggy that happens constantly. Yeah, he can come short, but he's very often going the other way as well. As like for the ball over the top. But I thought that what I was impressed with Maxi was his releasing of the ball. I thought he released it nearly every time, to be fair. And he's pressing. I thought he pressed well. He worked back. He ran the full side of the pitch and absolutely cleaned someone out with a great challenge. And I was really shocked that he even did that. To be fair, he got a massive ovation where I was sitting.
And he belted the ball off the advertising hoarding after he just...
And mind you, there was one moment where it looked awful from where I was sitting. Now, the lad won the ball. I'm not saying it wasn't a foul, but he really hit him hard. It just bobbled differently, and he got absolutely wiped. And I thought, this is... Again, I'll defend him, but I was like, well, that one probably did hurt, actually. But everyone around me is going to kick off here because he'll be down for ages. Yeah. And in fairness to him, he got his whereabouts and he stood back up and carried on, which I'm not so sure he would have done that a year ago.
I thought he played really well. I don't think it was brilliant when he came on, but I mean, that one where he cut inside and has the shot just past the post. And I think you're right, Declan, that he is releasing the ball a bit better. And I think again, when you look at how he's played with an overlapping left back in the past, I've wondered if Target might be a better... It'd be very, very harsh to drop Dan Burn because I think he's been excellent. Like all season, all year since we signed him last January. But I think if you're playing Saint-Maximin, you're better off with someone who's going to be up there with him. It was always a criticism of Dummett when he was playing left back that he would get the halfway and kind of that'd be his limit. Whereas I think Target is more your kind of he's not the same kind of quality caliber. He's Trippier on the right,
attacking fullback, but he's more adventurous.
I think you'd be more likely because he's more mobile. Jose had with their good years, or Davide Santon to a lesser extent.
I think it's more. It depends on which way you're looking at it, because some people might say Maxi's so aggressive going forward. You need someone that's just willing to sit there and do the day job. And if you had an attacking fullback, Christ Almighty, you're totally caught out. However, what I think is really important in that role is Joelinton. I really do, because him being able to come across helps. Unbelievable.
Joelinton's very much the Jack Colback of this situation anyway.
Never thought I them two in the same
thing. Me.
But, sorry, to go back, I honestly thought Maxi did well. And interestingly, obviously, I'm sad. I was watching at half time because I had a feeling Bruno was coming off.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit thinking who was going to, and Maxi was stayed straight out there and he was warming up with the guy running up and down.
Him and Isak was straight on at half time,
Yeah, and he was like putting him through it, and I
pulled a muscle at half time. Saint.
Oh, probably.
No, he did.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he went back down the tunnel holding his leg.
Well, I seen him. I forgot his name now. Christ almighty. Who was it that was in? He was in charge of the Everton game. Well, sorry, he wasn't in charge. Sorry, but everyone put it down to him winning the game.
Oh, Graham Jones.
Sorry, terrible. I forgot his name. He came running out and was shouting the ball and going, "However, man, you need to get like your top." And he's like, "Oh, sorry, I was warming up," like type of thing, But then I knew he was coming on, and obviously I was excited, and I still don't think he didn't cause them as much trouble as I thought he might have, but I still think he was good when he come on.
And that's why I said great, because I expected getting a 45 minutes, I expected more. Now, that again is for some of the reasons.
When you said expected more,
so just more of those runs that we know he's capable of doing. I think he struggled to get into the game at first for the reasons that everything does go down our right-hand side, and we weren't.
That's
there
not
was
his
loads
fault,
of.
though, if he doesn't get the
No,
ball.
I'm not blaming him. Don't go defensive yet. Don't go defensive
How
yet.
dare you?
Well,
All
that's
I'm
like saying Pope played shite, but if he doesn't have to get the ball, it's not his fault.
Have I said he played?
Well,
see,
shite. No,
see this.
I know he didn't.
He's
say- I know.
automatically going on the. What do you want us to say? He was terrible. Will
No,
that
no,
make
no.
you feel better?
No. I know you don't. I know you don't think that. I know you don't.
No, I'm just saying.
Did you see his tackle? I meant to ask. I meant to text
Excuse
you.
me?
Say, did you see his tackle?
I beg your pardon.
Can you
Short or tight, like.
They are.
Like
Did you
yours.
was
see
bad,
his-
I was bandaged up.
Eh?
Like
when
yours
he-
and
when he
Right
went
up.
across it, like from
Yes.
that
Is
side
that
to
what
that side.
I've never seen that from him.
Yeah, I was,
Ever.
even
So
I was
that
surprised.
was-
Even I
yeah.
was surprised.
It was a nice surprise.
Because he
but-
lost the ball and he almost got pissed off. Really, that's how it felt anyway. And, you know.
So, but yeah, what you are all saying around his willingness to now look for a pass rather than try and do everything himself and stuff like that. Absolutely, that was evident, and he has even back end of last season. You know, he's improved in like doing that, and
He was yeah.
has brought it through the season, and in the short appearances that he's played. You just, I don't know, like we didn't give him the opportunity to, on many occasions, to run at that defense where.
Because I thought when we did, I actually thought he had them a bit scared.
Yeah,
I
and like
genuinely
you
think
say, that
Oh, yeah.
that chance that he had, we know he's capable of doing it, but we didn't utilize it. Like you just said there was loads of times where he's just standing out wide on the touchline and the ball never went anywhere near him. The Fulham players had all pushed over and he had acres of space, and all they do is do a quick switch of the ball, a deep one across, which we were doing throughout the game previously to him coming on, but we just stopped doing it.
There was one point in the second half where we broke, and I forget if it was Maxi or Willock on the left breaking, and Wilson plays what it's a shocking
Horrible ball.
Straight, basically, Leno's gone like, I've got this all day. But if it's a better ball, again, it might not be Maxi, so I might be totally misremembering that bit. But
Hang on. Apologies. Sorry, was it the one? Yeah, he's going to laugh. Yeah, Maxi's pass to Wilson was brilliant because I didn't think he'd be able to see him. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, I mean, it's easy for us to see.
As soon as that ball's made,
What
away.
a pass! And then Wilson tries to then get it to the next bit, and it was a terrible.
it was an awful ball, like
But we're in there.
he's got the acres. He's got acres.
Right.
Absolutely acres.
Yeah.
It was a shocker, but just
But no, I honestly do believe the times I've seen Maxi play, I know he's not playing very much. I still believe that he's trying to do what he's been told. I really do.
he's not a bad now because at half time we were saying Maxi on drop Joelinton further back, and you think that's not a bad substitute to be able to make that. Like.
Unbelievable.
I mean, well, I think we did miss Bruno a bit in the second half. You're always going to miss a player.
course.
I'm sure Longstaff again. I'll reiterate was excellent on Saturday.
Especially when he dropped back into that
Yeah.
six.
So
He was really,
just because
really
you
good.
mentioned Longstaff, Bessie, we'll stick with him. It's another game where it's a great game for him, and Shearer highlights that how well he done. And
11.5 kilometers he covered on the pitch.
Yeah.
he always does. He's up there with the best in the Premier League for distance covered.
Mhm.
He's always going to be up there because we mentioned before his engine is second and on. It's. Do you think fans will ever give him a break?
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because I think when Sean and to a lesser extent Matty broke into the first team, that they were a little bit over celebrated.
Mhm.
If that's
Okay.
the right way of putting it, I think people
I
were
think
so,
you always get that with local lads.
so
yeah.
desperate for Geordie or Geordies, Whitley Bay lads,
Geordie.
to come Geordies like that.
Something like that.
People were so desperate for them to kind of come in and be the new
Best.
like Paul Gascoigne,
Yeah.
Andy Carroll, I suppose to a lesser extent.
Greasy Waddle.
Grease Waddle. That either were a little bit. I don't think people were kind of letting them. I wasn't convinced that they were as good as people were saying when people were comparing Sean to Michael Carrick and stuff like that.
You weren't
But-
convinced that he was a £50 million transfer
No,
to Man
well,
United.
And then during the period between July 2019 and late 2021, when we didn't have proper coaching at the club, the players weren't fit,
Didn't have training.
didn't have the
He was carrying an injury for a long
well,
time.
he
during
was
that
he
as
was he
well.
got injured towards the end of one of the, yeah, that's fair. But he just didn't look at it. It kind of felt as if because Matty's. I mean, I don't know where Matty is now, but
Injured.
that's right. He came
Yeah,
back,
he took
didn't
his knee, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He had a big one. Get well soon, Matty. But it kind of felt as if they were kind of, oh, well, this is, after all the excitement, Matty got the goals against Man United. Sean, I think, scored against Blackburn in the League Cup 3-4 years ago, whatever it was. Like, oh, well, that's them. They've kind of gone the way of Chopra and
He has
Paul
since done an
Braceman.
interview though where he explains a lot of that time of that
Yeah,
he
it's
was
interesting.
battling with a lot of demons. He was having
Yeah.
issues
I read that.
kind of off the pitch with the the management at the club and stuff like that. So again, a lot of that goes to explain, the why his performances probably weren't, of what he was capable of. And I think we're just through having the new, coaching and management team that we've got,
He's thriving.
getting a run of games. He's getting better and getting better.
I think
and
he
getting
is.
better.
I think he's playing really well. And we've commented about, I meant to make the point earlier about the distance covered. Maybe new mark, sorry. About the distance covered being 11.5 kilometres, the most in the game. He's away from the 18-yard box, away from the opposition's 18-yard box. I was going to say faultless there, which obviously isn't the case, but it's hard to think what he could be better at because he's fit. He's not the quickest, but doesn't need to be necessarily. His passing's good, his vision's good, his work rate's excellent, his tackling's good.
It's his finishing, isn't it? That's what
his
Shearer.
Shocking.
Dreadful. Dreadful. For a bloke who takes so many shots as well. Like, he takes a lot of shots from that position, like what Frank Lampard would do, and he's pinging them. And Sean, I don't know if it's because he scored a couple early on in his career, has thought, right, there's
Where he struck them very, very well as well, didn't he?
He was a bit. Did he have one at the weekend where he did actually have a good shot and the keeper saved it? Or maybe that might have been the Leicester game. Sorry, actually, where he had missed a sitter in the first minute, really.
Yeah.
But then he did have a good shot in the second half, and he gets in the areas, and I think I have to give him credit for that. I think,
he does.
Like, there was a moment in the game, right, where I was saying to my dad, like, I just feel if other players do that, what he did, Bruno did a really bad pass, right?
Yeah.
To play it out wide to Trippier. And Sean Longstaff was the one who absolutely went through the player to then carry the ball on to the wide man. It was absolutely brilliant. And I don't really think anyone really cares because it was Sean Longstaff. But I feel as if it was Joelinton or Bruno, the place would have rugby man. It would have been Bruno. And that's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. But I just feel sometimes he does something really good and it just doesn't really...
It's strange how he's gone from being this young lad who's as good as Michael Carrick to being, I shite him, to now being...
Everyone around me, was saying he was shite all the time.
To now, if anything, being underappreciated. Which is bizarre. It's a strange kind of trajectory.
It's because he's getting assessed and judged on those missed chances. And there was a comment on the match reaction, which we did yesterday straight after the game. Somebody said he's similar to Lampard. He gets in those Lampard positions, but he just can't score.
Yeah.
If he added goals to his game,
be great.
His stock is through the roof.
Yeah.
Because people, like you see, I seen a comment over the weekend, it might have been today, around, has there ever been a Newcastle player that divides opinion like Sean Longstaff?
100%.
Because you've got like
Mickey,
50% love him and 50% hate him.
Dummett, for some reason, people love Dummett.
I didn't mind Dummett. Like, I think he's all right. But yeah, we'll have loads. Miggy, even in the team now, in the squad now, Miggy, Joelinton, everyone hated Joelinton for a while, didn't they? Perez,
Mitrovic,
aye.
There's
We've had loads.
It's just him who did like it.
Mike Williamson, James Perch, Tim Krull. Players that either were great or were shite, and there was no middle ground.
Listen, I'm not criticising Longstaff. He has his moments where you think, "Fucking hell," he kicked out with a Gallowgateshots on thingy. I was like, "How can you do that? How can you get that much height from there?" There's moments in the game that's like that. But I will come back to the point we've made a few weeks in a row. Really, if you look at, I still say that's the best team. I've always said this last week. That team there, right, against Man City. Now, if you were going to say where do you improve that, I'm sorry, but it's gonna be Longstaff's the one that's gonna sacrifice.
I was thinking that earlier on. He's probably the first name.
Do you know what it is though? I think if Longstaff is taken away from that starting 11, we might miss him.
You lose something.
Well, that's what they said that match of the day. You lose his work. You can replace him with someone else. I was going to name names. I'm not going to name names. Who might have a little bit better technical ability or more of a star quality. Like you mentioned, Bruno and Joelinton there, the kind of how the press love them, the fans love them.
But you lose that commitment to the team.
You lose 11.5 kilometers per, you know what I mean?
Mm.
You lose that work rate.
I still say he is, again, another player that is the formation we're playing. I've said, how many times did I sit here and say play three in midfield? Because Longstaff's not technically the greatest. And you might imagine if you were back in the day and you had Longstaff and Hayden, you're in big trouble. I didn't care if he runs 11.5 kilometers, you're in big trouble. But that you've got three in there, that extra body really, really helps, And I really believe it helps Longstaff as well. But I understand that people are going to look at Bruno's quality. Joelinton is just unbelievable. Everyone loves Willock because of his energy and his bursting runs.
Great game as well.
And it'll always be Longstaff that'll be the one that'll go, the chance he missed there. Yeah. It's always going to be that.
And I think it's just because he does stuff that people just don't appreciate, because it is just the running, tackling back, getting in the way of somebody, picking up a ball and then just giving it to somebody else. It's the unsexy, dirty part of the game.
And again, we've all got our cocks out about Joelinton. And
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here Joelinton scoring 15 a week. Well, I
But
love
you
him.
know what it is?
I
It's
love him
because-
because he's working
but
hard.
because-
He's brain people.
Because Joe's brain people, he's flat,
Well,
he's
yeah, I
using
know.
his strength,
Joelinton's
he's
the
using his physicality.
The big redemption story as well.
but
He's
it's
a
still,
£40 million
it's still the
flop
shit
that
side
he
of the job, though. Do you know what I mean? It's not the glamour side. It's the
But
hard work.
you
it's
don't
the
see
tackling.
Sean doing that bit of it, sticking the shoulder in on
Well,
somebody,
maybe-
leaving
okay,
it a little bit late. So that's why it's not as eye catching.
Yeah, fair
He's
comment.
more-
Is when Sean does it. I think is the
Sean,
is the main thing.
he's more getting in the way.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of like waiting someone out and send him 10 foot in the air, he just stops. He breaks play down, and it's like it's not very sexy in that, like. But
I'm sure I've said this a few weeks ago, and what I have noticed definitely since I was coming is his position off the ball is so much better.
yeah, it's
He
superb.
stands in such great areas that, again, as you've mentioned, aren't going to be exciting to see, but it's stopping the opposition
Yeah.
from playing. He gets in certain areas. Now, you know, listen, like, he's always going to have his haters, but the one thing I would say he's ever present, like, isn't he? Like, obviously, Howe believes in him. He pretty much plays every single game gone.
I think he's been excellent this season.
He really has. And he's been a huge part of where we are, regardless if you don't think he's very good. He has.
I thought the Sheffield Wednesday game, him and Joelinton were certainly our best players. I thought they were excellent, and that was in a 2-1 defeat to a club 2 divisions lower.
But then people are ridicule him, saying, "Oh well, that's his level."
That's ridiculous. It's outrageous.
It's outrageous. Right, I'm going to get to the questions because we've been going an hour now, so we'll go another 10 minutes. The first one is from Jules. It's something which we've already touched on a little bit.
Jules.
It says,
Jules.
lads,
Jules.
thoughts on the atmosphere at St. James's Park yesterday? It
Quite yesterday.
comes in waves,
Definitely-
doesn't it?
It was definitely quiet yesterday.
But
Oh,
it started.
Saturday.
It started from pre-match.
It was Sunday.
No, it was Sunday.
was yesterday?
It's Monday. The day.
I
was
thought it was.
Sunday,
All right,
yeah,
sorry,
yesterday.
Jules.
2
2
o'clock
days ago,
kickoff
it was
on
quite
Sunday.
It does feel like it was ages ago.
It does, aye.
But like even like I mean, when I know we briefly just like joked about it and mentioned there, but even the match day, what's it called? Compare in stadium announcer.
So this is
Like,
why I
gee,
started.
mate,
with
Play the
this
song.
question.
started-
Terrible.
Before
Answer-
kickoff,
answer
he
that
started
question
playing
first. Answer-
Nitro's on fire.
And then the game he did. Answer the question first.
So, but I think this from the atmosphere stems from that of getting people.
Nah,
up
I'm not
into it
blaming
and
the
stuff
DJ
like
for
that.
the atmosphere
That's
being
ridiculous.
No,
flat.
I'm saying
Ridiculous.
it goes towards it. The fact that the early kickoff on a Sunday, people haven't been
Yeah.
able to go out and have a drink and get up for it. That
Well, they're at
excitement
church, aren't they, before?
through it like that. They've just came from church. They've just got out of bed because they've had a heavy night the night before. They've got to go home and make the Sunday dinner and put the kids to bed like Bestie. It's a
Wholesome-
combination of
wholesome
things,
activities.
but the atmosphere was low. But that's where the performance on the pitch, the build up to it from the stadium and stuff like that with the announcers and the flag, because all the flags and everything was still brilliant, but it just didn't have that build that you normally get before the game that carries into it.
I could be wrong here. I could be wrong. Don't think I am, but he played local hero. He or they or whoever played it early.
Was it that
early-ish.
young lad?
And then when it ended, they played fucking Hey Jude before kickoff. Literally before kickoff. Now they've never done that. Normally it's just a little. Everyone cheers, sit down, go.
Yeah.
Just after playing Mitro's on fire, which
Well,
got
nah,
all of
nah.
the Fulham fans bouncing
but
up and down. He played
nah,
it
man.
twice.
He had the fucking Europa League anthem on after that. Shot.
No, it was the
It was the old
Old. It
Premier
was
League
the
anthem.
Old
Old
Premier
Premier
League.
League.
I think what he'd done is he'd found the 2016-17 CD.
It was, it was
Like
a better tune
in
than the
there
other
because
one,
it was
I
even
get it.
after the match he's playing bloody Rafa's tune and
What,
and all of that kind of thing. It's like-
Why you got the Premier League anthem in the Championship?
But anyway,
So
Details.
there's a few
17,
things.
80 of them.
There's a few things, and it's been spoken about on Twitter quite a bit the last 24 hours. Is the names were completely wrong. Some of the names he tried to announce a substitute as
Joseph-
Mitro was about to take the
Joseph
penalty.
Willock.
Joseph Willock, and then just
Joseph
stopped.
Willock. Yeah, he just went substitution Joseph, and that was it.
Man,
was
it's
it.
called Joseph. Like,
That was it.
he is like.
I mean,
No, he is. He also called Willian Will.I.am
Jesus.
yeah, I can't remember this
He
happening.
does get called that a bit though, to be fair.
by mistake.
Yeah, not by a professional. Yeah, someone who's like in charge of.
I just remember
comparing a football match.
carnage where there seemed to be at least 15 subs, and then there was one moment where the I think we had a throw in. No one knew what was going on, and the ref's thinking like, has he announced it yet? And then from nowhere he mentioned another one.
Yeah, so
Well,
coming
there was
on
a,
to
there was
number
a
six,
there was a point where, as that's just reminded us, when obviously they brought 3 subs on like towards the end,
Yes.
and then one of our players went, "Hold on, how many
Trigger.
players have they got on the
Trigger,
pitch
yeah.
here?" And he had to count it like about 3 or 4
I
times.
think,
'cause he's
I
got-
think that was more to do with us trying to waste time than it
Yeah,
was.
Probably. Probably House said, pretend there's 12 on the pitch, I just count.
Because like stuff about them chucking
But you're
balls on the
right, there
pitch
was
and
a
all
boatload
sorts.
of subs. I think we made 2 and they made 3.
Yeah.
Then all those subs were on the field, and a couple of minutes later, he just randomly announced the
He
substitutions.
did. Yeah, he did. He really did.
It was
Man,
almost
you bless him,
as
like,
if he'd missed the fact that
there
it
was
happened.
literally 10 ready to come on. He must have thought, shit.
He started. So you mentioned that random sub, which never happened.
Yeah.
Then he continued his sentence if he was going to do another one.
I know,
He
yeah.
left his mic on because it was just going.
Number 34, Lewis Buamote. Oh, sorry, he doesn't play anymore. But yeah, no, it was mad. Like,
He's
it's
their just manager now.
just
isn't
a
he?
magic kicking off. He was.
He's had an absolute mare of
But
a
then
day.
at the end of the game, they played
Oh, it was awesome.
ultra beat. Obviously for
They needed to
for
play
Dan
that.
Burn.
If he just played that and kept that going, that
And
would
then-
have
but then
been.
did that one, then did another one that was.
Did you not like
it was,
that?
and then did
Did you not like the
Labamba.
Dan Burn
I think,
song?
wait, there's no one
I
in
do
Labamba
like
that
it,
we
but-
sang about. Rafa
Yeah.
Benitez, Shelby Perez, they've all gone.
You don't need to play any of that. Just play the Hey Jude. Just play that.
And
You're absolutely fine.
he did play Primal Scream though. And I
he
love
did.
hearing that.
Yeah,
like,
and but he
that's
played that
really late.
really late.
Yeah,
I was like, well, that shouldn't be going there, mate.
It was like the Grease Mega
But the
Mix.
Rafa one, I could not believe
I
he
was
played
like, hang on a
that.
second. I was talking about that. I think that was like 5 years.
I
ago.
know.
It was
and I was
literally like a Kavos mega mix or
was.
something like that.
But then what I did notice during Pretty Green Eyes is not many Newcastle fans seem to know how it goes because they started singing the "He's Rome," right? Totally the wrong part.
At the start of it.
Well,
yeah.
there was loads of people. I mean, they went, "This is shocking. Let's go."
Because he also put the volume on max.
It was
I know,
so
yeah.
loud.
Do you know what? Honestly, I swear to you, what I honestly
You
thought
would
of.
have heard this actually because you were getting the match early.
Uh-huh.
So when he was announcing the teams, this was when the lads were on the field warming up. It was like this. Just got so loud.
Did you listen to that Everton space on Saturday night?
No.
I was watching match. This Everton, you know, on Twitter, they have the spaces. This thing was going on for hours and hours and hours. And I literally, like, I seen people talking about like 7, 8 o'clock, and it was gone 11 when I was listening to
Was
it.
it just them running down the road? I'm
What?
nearly there. I'm getting them. I'm going to catch them.
And it was Elton remember Elton Wellesby? He was in it at one point because Everton fan.
All right.
And they're talking about just the state of Everton, and they're in a disarray. And there was one
Great,
lad,
isn't it?
there was one lad talking, and I see Chris saying that there. Everyone was talking, had the broad Scouse accents. We can understand what they're saying because you know they're talking. And this one lad sounded like the teacher of Charlie Brown. You know, and he was talking, going like, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I looked, I forget who it was. Was it my next part? I forget who it was on Twitter now. Reading someone's, and it took from like 6 hours earlier saying, he wants to speak up, this fucker. Jesus, he's been doing for like 6 hours.
Can we all like? Do you know how we've mentioned that we'll probably miss Longstaff? He wasn't there. I think we're at that point now where we'll miss the normal stadium announcer when he's not there.
If I don't get my enjoy the game before kick off this,
Enjoy the
Oh,
game.
he said it. He said it.
But he used to
He did say
mispronounce Yanga and Bia.
Terrible.
What was it? Yanga and Booyah. No. That's my job. I'm after that job, like NUFC. And tell you what it is.
Yeah.
This whole
I'll tell you
radio
what it
thing
is.
I'm doing at the minute, it's all for that job when it comes up.
get your name in for the next time you need
Get on
to fill
Radio
in.
Shields. In fact, I'm on there now, so fuck this off. Get Radio Shields on.
Right, we'll quickly go through the rest. This one is from Fish and Rods that says, his question is, apart from his finishing, Sean Longstaff's best, most mature performance for us was that game that's just gone back. The fact we didn't miss Bruno in the second half speaks volume. I think we did miss Bruno slightly.
I think we did, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's
It wasn't obvious, but we missed him slightly.
at times when like you would say that a ball that Bruno would have played or a turn, you're always going to miss a player of that quality. It's hard to say exactly what would have happened if, because it's all hypothetical, isn't it? Because he sees stuff that we can't see at times.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, oh, he would have picked this out, he would have done that. But I think when you've lost a player of Bruno's ability, as good as Longstaff is and as well as Longstaff played, you are going to miss that.
I think as a team, we handled it very well.
Oh, yeah, I do as well.
Losing someone as good as that.
It didn't feel as if I thought we probably, I don't say we played better in the second half, but we were certainly better than Fulham. Well, the difference between us and Fulham in the second half seemed greater than
I
the
think
first
so.
half.
I
I
agree.
thought.
I agree.
Not that I'm saying that's down to Bruno. I thought we played really well.
Yeah, I did as well.
Again, against a really, sorry, Chris, against a really good side.
Yep.
Like Fulham are a good team.
Yeah,
There's no,
yeah.
that was always going at the stadium, looked like league table, thinking they'd won 4 on a bounce. Didn't
5.
5? Oh, sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, I
And-
tweeted out, didn't I, afterwards?
Yeah,
saying
5
it's
is
a
good now. Yeah.
5 unbeaten run.
What Mark said about how like tight they are defensively and stuff like, and we've put 5 past them in 2 games. We're better than McCraven College.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
I mean, they had that early red card, but then at St James's Park, I think we deserved the win, a better side, but they were one of the better teams. They came and played football. We've talked about how Newcastle going to Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, Man U and really shutting up shop and wasting time and being like swines.
Well, you compare it to Bournemouth and Leeds.
Leeds were the two. Yeah, but I thought I thought that was a really hard game, and that was a big win for us. That one for me,
100%.
because
Next question is from Scott that says, Mark, I'll come to you. Says, what's Joelinton worth now?
Priceless.
I'd say 70 to 80. Like,
I'm with you.
I'd say 60 plus. He's certainly more than we paid for him, which
100%. Yeah.
18 months ago, there's not
Says it was
one
a bargain.
There's no one in the world paying £40 million for Joelinton.
We were saying we looked
14
at
months
8 or
ago.
10 or something because we were thinking.
I think we've said it. I think we've had the conversation on here.
Glad we're stuck with them.
It's mad, isn't it?
Insane.
I've never known it. Like, it's
There's no player
incredible.
in any club and in history.
Do you think the arrival of Bruno has helped massively as well?
I think so. Yeah, I think. He started that game against Man U was like between Christmas and New Year, so that's pre-Bruno. A few games in January before Bruno turned up. We didn't really start playing until mid-February, February. Like that.
Yeah.
Because how
A
kind
handful of games before you got his chance.
Because it was obviously Norwich where it all started, and then Man
Yeah.
United was still the one.
That was unreal.
That was the
unreal,
game.
that.
That was the one for me.
But
I think
yeah,
they'll get even closer now because he's going to be giving them a lift to training and to the match every day, isn't he?
of course, he's the guy. But I think it started. Excuse me. I think he would still have been an excellent player had Bruno not come. But I think having a compatriot, someone that you've got that kind of a cultural connection with, obviously both Brazilian or different parts of Brazil, like. But I think that can only be a good thing.
It'd be a huge loss when if you got injured.
Oh
Huge,
yeah,
you know,
massive.
huge.
I go back to
Huge.
I think I was saying on here when we had Freddy Fernandez and Manquillo playing in defence. Saying well, they're both Spanish speakers, and you could see Freddy almost had a control pad, and he was directing Manquillo through games, and it was like, well, that's helped him massively having the experience of Freddy there, and I think having someone like Bruno who isn't as experienced as Joelinton necessarily, but has that quality. And they appear to be really good mates as well, which is another thing, and that can only be good for Joe.
Well, playing alongside someone like Bruno can help anybody.
Yeah,
I'd look better if I was beside Bruno.
well, look at Miggy. Miggy's a far better player, and I think
Yeah,
Bruno's had a lot to do with that. And obviously,
100%. Yeah.
we've said a few times tonight about Miggy having the triangle with Trippier and Bruno.
Yeah.
If Miggy's playing with, and I mean no disrespect by saying this,
He was decent with Manquillo. Like again, I think it's that Spanish thing with when you had Manquillo and Miggy on the right hand side. Those two linked up well.
I think if he's playing with, let's say, Kraft and Kraft and Hayden, both of whom I like,
Or Shelby.
Shelby. Well, we've seen Miggy wasn't that player.
No.
I don't think that. I mean, that comes down to Miggy himself, the way he's been trained, the way he's been directed by how. But I think playing with Bruno and Trippier, the quality that they possess only makes it easier for Miggy. And look what he's been phenomenal this season.
Yeah, turnaround's been remarkable. We'll end it on this one. This is the one which I mentioned earlier on, which was from Josh, who did send in the donation as well. So thank you once again, Josh. Deg, I'll come to you because I know you're going to enjoy this one. Okay, so he says, "Hi lads, hope you're well. Brilliant win yesterday. World-class teams get last-minute winners. Bit of a mad question. If we get to the Carabao Cup final, I think it's more of a when. If we get to the Carabao Cup final, would you
just remember all these clips? Like if it doesn't happen,
I didn't say this yet. Would you consider doing an Always Man Faces podcast in London leading up to the game?
Right.
Well, we'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah. Even if I can't get a ticket, I'll be there.
So it probably won't be a podcast as in this because it would take some effort.
Imagine packing all this up to take down.
It would be amazing if we took the table and just sat outside Wembley or something.
It's taking 18 months to get like this to start with.
We need to get like, what's that bloke? Rate my takeaway. You know, and he just cants different places. He's got his table. We just need to go, get a table and we'll just rock up in middle of Trafalgar
And everybody
Square.
would get to see Mark Noctino over on Wembley Way. But if it gets to that point, then there'll be lots of content coming from London. The build up to that game.
It's
Because
just
we'd be absolutely buzzing just like the rest of you.
Yeah.
So hope none of us shitting the fountain.
I won't be diving in it either. Remember that guy dove in and hit his head, didn't he?
Bestie, don't get topless in
I'll
it.
not be doing that.
I've never been topless in the fountain, even on Super Santa Sunday. I don't get that to Shields joke. I don't get topless in the fountain.
Fountain.
I've never been.
Have you not?
I've never been to the fountain.
What?
I've never been to the fountain. Wait,
You've never been to the
I don't even live in South Shields and I've been in the fountain at least
You've
3
never been
times
in the
I can
fountain?
remember.
Hey, mate,
Never.
way.
It's weird. Like I've never seen
This
Top
is
Gun.
South Shields crack, everybody.
It is like but no, I worked in a Stansted for so many years. I worked in a town centre, so I live down near the West Park. So I've gone to the Ashley of the West Park. No, I've never been to Fountain. I live quite close to it now.
Food's
so
amazing, mate.
So Super Santa Sunday is one of the best days ever.
probably because Taylor's band normally plays. I'm not going to watch them. So
No, it's normally Revelino, isn't it?
I think understudies are certainly involved, aren't they? Unless they just turn up. That's
Might
it.
alternate.
It's
If
Matt
people
was in
don't know
there,
what
wasn't
it is a pub in Shields. It's which Sunday is it?
July.
First. Is it the first Sunday in
I
December?
can't remember.
Can't remember what it is, but it's
Was that a Die Hard dig?
It wasn't, but it worked this one.
everybody goes to the Fountain pub wearing a Santa costume, and it's absolutely remarkable.
I've never done that, but I've seen the pictures.
Oh, it's class,
Yeah.
absolute class.
It's in July, though, so I can't go.
That's us done. So thanks everybody for joining with tonight. Mark, do you want to tell them what to do? Help us out a bit.
Like this video, just have a look at that little button down there. If you haven't already done it, just give it a cheeky little like. And,
Cheeky.
Cheeky. Gotta give me not just a normal like, a cheeky like.
All right.
Do that. And if you feel like it, click the subscribe button. Turn on the notifications if you haven't already done so. And if you want to go wild, why not join? Be a member. How much is it, Chris?
It's $2.99, Mark.
Bargain.
He definitely practiced that in the mirror before
Yeah,
coming here.
He has.
Professional.
Not while he was in his hair, but he'd be
Absolute
there.
professional.
Eating soup.
But yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks everybody that's
In a
watching
fountain.
this back. Thanks everybody that is listening to this back. I've enjoyed this one, boys. Long may it continue because we are fucking mint
The best.
at the minute.
I enjoy the
Decker,
boys. Are lovely boys.
sign we're out.
Well, one, you know.
Get in.
Need a piss, you know.
I do as well.